Sun is sort of right on the side of my face, so the lighting isn't great. I apologize. I'll figure out the lighting at some point. But this video is about what's the answer. The goal or the mission of the circle is peace on earth is achievable in our lifetime. But how? And I want you to understand that sometimes I might be emotional about what I'm saying. There might even sometimes be anger in what I'm saying for the way that certain people have been treated. But the answer to how do we achieve world peace in our lifetime is the answer is love. It's the only answer. So love, compassion, empathy, these are the only answers. And we have to start embracing them. You know, there's a lot of folks out there right now, your friendships or your family relationships have been strained over the past 4 years. I want you to reach out to all the relationships that you've broken and don't start talking about Trump. Don't start talking about the nation. Don't start talking about the economy. Don't start talking about any of that. I just want you to reach out to one of those people and just say, you know, I know we might have had our disagreements in the past, but I want you to know that I love you. Let them respond, and then see what happens. Not everyone's going to respond favorably. You're not going to bring everyone back in your life. But we have to make that attempt. For the relationships of mine, which have been broken, and it's relatively few because most of the people that I know and have interacted with throughout my life are not of the oppression class, are not fools, are not. I'm sorry. No, we have to understand that people vote their interest, and it's not that they're foolish to vote their interest. It only makes sense to vote your interest. So I'm not even mad at people for voting for Trump. I understand it, especially after, you know, the video I just did about talking about, you know, they have had hegemony for so long. They have had control over other groups of people for so long that if we ever became equal, if we ever truly became, you know, one nation under God, if we ever truly, you know, all men are created equal, men and women, if we ever got to that point, it would actually be oppression for them. They feel that they would be oppressed. So this is why you see poor whites, even they think they're voting their interests, I should say, but they're truly voting against their interests. You know, Mitch McConnell's state is, you know, in the lowest percentage on almost every factor: health, education. But poor whites keep voting for him because they think that he is acting in their interest. And sometimes he is. This, you know, the piece that I was introduced to yesterday, and this was a guy that was former Mormon. He was a editor at some of the most conservative newspapers, and he realized that the whole story that he had been being told was a lie. You know, he was told that the Democrats are liars. He was told that, you know, only Trump is correct. He was told that only, you know, whatever he was told, he woke up and he realized he actually had an ability to think for himself. And he said, wait a second. That's not true. So what he really introduced me to was He said the largest demographic shift in the country, and there is an added component to this that I disagree with him on. His name was, I mentioned it in the last post, Matthew. Anyway, I'll post his name below. But what he said is the largest demographic shift in the nation is not more brown people in America, not more Latinos in America, not more black people in America, not more immigrants in America. He said the largest shift was from Christian to secular. So if you're a Christian and you have someone who you believe is defending your right to Christianity, they literally think that their right to be Christians is going to be taken away. Their right to separate from homosexuals, which they feel is wrong, from, whatever, they feel that they are being threatened. They feel that they feel their religion is being taken away. Now, we know that some of the largest and most bloodiest fights have been over religion. The Crusades, it's just, there's just so many examples. And people, because religion is one of those things that's a little bit more ephemeral, it's not so cut and dry that it is based on faith and beliefs, sometimes correct, sometimes not correct. But if you feel as though what you believe in your heart is being threatened, this is why people will stand up and say, I will die for Trump. Because Trump is defending my right to be a Christian. And they feel that it's being taken away. Now, that was the focus that he had. But the other piece of it is the race part of it. Yes, it is Christians who have had this hegemony, but it is white Christians who have had the hegemony in America. So anyway, point of all that is the only way we might even be able to reach some of these people is to, one, show them love, show them respect, show them we're not threatening their religion, show them they will have their ability to pray and worship in the manner that they want. But they have to understand that they can't force others to pray and worship in the manner that they want us to pray and worship. They mostly because people, and the reason why this demographic shift is happening is not because we're becoming more of a heathen nation. It's because people are waking up. They're realizing that the Jesus story, Father, Son, and Mother, the virgin birth. Like, wait a second. This story sounds familiar to something else. Wait, Isis, Horus, and Osiris. It's not a coincidence that the largest, not the largest actually, but the terrorist group that they are pushing out in front as being the most dangerous on earth, the Muslims, is called ISIS. It's not a coincidence. So anyway, we must understand where they're coming from. We must have empathy for their positions. We must show them love, and they have to understand that as this power structure does change, and it's going to change, that we are going to see the largest transfer of wealth ever in the history of the world. So the first transfer of wealth was from Africa to Europe. And now the transfer of wealth is going to be from the top 1% to the rest of the world. We are going to be at a time where there is not going to be food insecurity. There's not going to be housing insecurity. There's not going to be homelessness. There's not going to be war. What do people fight over for war? Mostly money and resources. If you already have the money, if you already have the resources, if you realize that you're in a place of abundance, you don't have to fight anymore. Unless you just want to fight for the sake of fighting. And that's another whole thing. But so the other thing that I want to say is truth is truth. So when I speak about white supremacy and I talk about history and I talk about the contributions that Africans have made throughout the world, and we talk about the fact that Christianity is based on African spirituality and the ancient Egyptian mystery schools, and when I say that, that's not from a place of hatred. That's not from a place of racism. That's from a place of truth. It's from a place of truth. And if you can debate something that I'm saying, if you can prove me wrong, please do. If you can prove that the Greeks created everything that is attributed to them, prove it. That's all. Just show me. I'm what is it? Missouri's the show me state. Show me. Just show me. Don't have to call me names. Just show me. Because if you go and read what the Greeks had to say, the Greeks themselves said that they were the students of the Egyptians. And they admitted that the Egyptians were black. Where's the argument? Why do we even have to debate? That's not a racist statement to say that the Greeks were the students of the Egyptians. It is a racist statement to say that the Egyptians were white and that Africans were savages and that everything, philosophy, mathematics, everything that poetry, music, everything that is good in the world came from either Greece or Rome or Europe or, to teach us that and to teach that Africans had no part in it, that's the racist part. Now, I want you to know there's a quiz online, I'm going to try to find it, about determine your racial bias. And what it does is it shows you in very quick succession, black person, white person, Asian person. And they want you to sort of very quickly, without really much thought, indicate, is this person a good person or a bad person? And that's my recollection of how it works, at least. And on that test, it was determined I had no racial bias. No racial bias. Because I don't. I don't have any racial bias. I don't have a racist bone in my body. The closest I ever got to racism was, when I was studying teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where he taught, white man's the devil. And, that was the teachings that Malachi Z. York picked up, and, white man is the devil. But within that, the closest I ever got was, oh my gosh, well, my father's white. How do I deal with this? How do I do this? And I went to one of the leaders at the time. He was an imam at the time. We were in Islam at the time. And I said, what do you guys are saying that the white people are the devil and my father's white. So I don't know, how do I deal with that? Because I wasn't really willing to accept that white people were all evil, that they're all bad. I couldn't do that. Now, the power structure that be, is it mostly white? Yes, of course. We can't even, if you're going to deny that, you're lying to yourself. Do we have some people like Ben Carson? I don't even know why he is doing what he does, but he's doing it. Do we have people like Herman Cain and who died going to a Trump rally and got COVID? Why do they do that? I don't know. Why did Judas do what he did? I don't know. Why did Paul take Jesus' teachings in the Bible and twist them all up and create a new religion? Why did he do that? I don't know. What you know, there have been a reason? Perhaps. Could there have been a reason? Perhaps. Well, actually, Judas did it for money, they say, for gold. So yeah, a lot of people can be bought. A lot of people can be bought. But again, if you have what you need, if you don't have to fight for resources, and if you don't, let's just take it to the hood real quick. Let's say there's not many job opportunities. There is a systematic state of racism and oppression that is intended to keep you down. Education system is inferior, and I'm not saying some people don't get out of that. Of course, some people do. Of course, a lot of people do. But in terms of, there's also a lot of people that don't. So what opportunities are? There's not really any jobs. So you find that, and then you see who in your community is making money. Who in your community do people look up to? And in some communities, in some contexts, that's the drug dealers, that's the gang members. And also you have to realize that as human beings, we are innately desirous of community, of culture, of inclusion. So then when you systematically take black men out of the home, you systematically, purposely remove fathers from their children for holding a small bag of weed, for smoking a joint, it's going to start to break down family structure. It's going to start to create problems. So now you've got these drug dealers who they've got the flashy cars. They're not worrying to struggle to pay rent. They have food. So, the gangs have that sense of community. If your father's not around and you have no community, and the gang is offering you a sense of community, oftentimes people are going to go for it. And that sense of community, whether it is you're fighting for something, defending something, making money, getting your needs met, people will do it. And you have to understand why did they get there? So we go to the hood and we've got people that are drug dealers and gang members and gang bangers, and they're willing to fight and kill for their corner. And of course, white folks want to still they still want to, in so many words, have that party line that blacks are savages, and that's their explanation. Well, they don't say it quite as clearly as they used to. Well, some do, but generally speaking, they don't say it as clearly as they used to. But the idea is that the killing in the black community and the poverty in the black community and the gangs in the black community are 100% our fault. When you have to understand that when someone's backed in a corner and they need to do something to provide for money for their families, for their mothers, for their brothers and sisters, oftentimes, for their children, let's be real. I'm going to be straight up with you. Would you kill for your child? Would you kill if there was no other way? Would you kill to feed your mother? Not all of us are going to say yes, but it's that kind of rock in a hard place that many people find themselves in. And this isn't just the black community. This has happened in in every community that has been placed in such a situation, the exact same results. It's like a petri dish. You put the same ingredients into the same petri dish, you're going to get the same results every single time. Doesn't matter what the person's black, whether the person's Native American, doesn't matter if the person's white, Irish, Italian. It doesn't matter. That those same dynamics are going to create the same results. It's not something innate within black people that we just simply want to go and kill each other and kill ourselves. So, let me try to pull it all together now. So, when I'm saying things, it's not out of a place of hatred for white people. As I said, my father's white. On his descendancy, it goes back to Lord Baltimore, who founded Maryland. So it was actually my ancestors who came over on the Dove and the Ark and the Dove. I think it was called the Ark. Anyway, it came over on 2 ships with a large number of people and, held and founded Maryland. So what does that mean? Well, that means they stole that land from the natives. I have members of my family on that side. Some fought for the Confederacy, some fought for the Union. I have people on that side of my family who were slave owners. Within my blood, within my DNA, I'm not innocent. If you want to judge people based on their ancestors, I'm not innocent. But we can't do that. We even just think about your own life. You could either focus on all the mistakes and problems you've made up until this point, or you can recognize the problems and mistakes you've made. So in this instance, the past ties into my individual past in my life ties into the history of my ancestors. So there are mistakes that my ancestors made. There was racism, there was slavery, there was all of that. And I can either focus on that and have it eat at me and self-consume me, or I can say, you know what? Well, this is the person I want to be. This is the person I want to be. And moving forward, I want to foster peace. I want to foster love. I want to foster opportunity. So that's what I'm going to do. And I please ask you to come along with me on this journey, because I truly, truly, truly believe world peace is achievable in our lifetime. Peace.